Welcome, everyone, to episode 31 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by Jez.
Good morning. That's earlier than I expected.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Returning champion BelleBunny.
Yo, yo, yo.
And special guest Sharks3dman.
Hello, everybody. Where are the drinks?
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, Hologram River with housekeeping.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening in on the podcast. However it is that you choose to listen, be sure to follow Guardian1 on Twitter at G1NET. Just a reminder, the Twitter account is the only instance where we use the number 1. So, and again, that's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. Also send us feedback to our email, feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group that's currently at 122 members. If you want to join, just search for the group name Guardian 1. Guardian 1 has its own clan, so if you want to join the Guardian 1 clan, just select the buttons that say Set as PlayStation Clan or Set as Xbox Clan. After you join the group, we utilize the forums for comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Can't catch the show live, you can always go to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardian Radio. Other podcasts include Warlock School, TTL Party Chat, the DOD podcast, and also the... What's it called? Oh, man, I'm like at a loss right now. Audio Grimoire. Ghosts and Echoes. There we go. That works for me. That's it.
Oh man, that's funny and sad. And thank you very much, Hollow River. We really appreciate it.
I was close to actually
perfect.
answering this question too.
Yeah, he's gonna love that one.
Right, hilarious. And he's River is not here, and Crimson Warlock are not here. One of them is really enjoying their time away, and one of them is really not enjoying their time away. And congratulations to both of you, I guess. But yeah, it's. I decided last minute to add River just saying the housekeeping, and sadly the episode that I picked was one where he had so many foibles.
That wasn't intentional.
Right? No, not at all. Not at all. That's. I feel kind of bad, but
No,
you know
it made it sound like he was actually here, though, because if it was too perfect, it would be just a recording.
Totally. I actually was going to have him record one just for this, in case I could just have him, ready to go. And now I do. I can't wait for him to hear this. But yeah, shout out to you, River, because really it was. I don't really like doing the show without you because. It's in the very beginning, I would, I was trying to get this podcast thing going, and I was looking for people who were interested in doing this with me. And so I'd start to geek out on Destiny, and I'd start to geek out on what could be and what should be. And then I'd think, I've said too much. This guy's going to tell me I'm stupid. And instead, he would take that ball and run with it, like further than I did, as if it made me think that I wasn't the only crazy one. And then I found Crimson Warlock, and then Jez, and then luckily Agrios. And then, awesome, we have two really great guest stars tonight. BelleBunny, you've been here before. You've basically risen to the top. as
Thank
far
you,
as
guys.
that's concerned. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Tired, but good. It's awesome to be back. I just realized it's Thursday, so it's like perfect for like a throwback Thursday that I get to be on here again. This is like my home. So that's kind of awesome.
Cool.
It was really great to have you on. It was really great to have you on. It's always great to have you on. You are a very interesting person to talk to. You have a
Somehow that sounded like potentially not good, but you're an interesting person.
Interesting is one of those safe words that you use when you don't want to say something bad.
Exactly.
I guess that could be taken that way. I mean, I meant interesting, like say like Deej. Deej seems like an interesting person. I didn't mean Deej like Flavor Flav. Okay. Not that I don't love Flavor Flav,
Whoa!
because I do
Well.
love Flavor Flav, but he's interesting in a different way than you are.
I got it indirectly compared to Deej and Flavor. Okay. My
Right?
yo
Wow.
comes right back in.
Right? You shouldn't have done that. I can't even imagine why you did that.
I don't know.
Well, when you said that Deej is flavorful with like Flava Flav, I'm like, Bungie Community Theater?
I'm ready.
That needs to come back. Just
Right.
saying.
I agree. And we also have Sharks3dman, which actually makes the third of my fire team. And by my fire team, I mean the two people that I play Destiny with the most, being Agrios and Sharks. And I would not be where I am in Destiny on PlayStation without those two. And if you'd like to see a comparison of where I'd be in Destiny without those two, check out my Xbox profile on Destiny. I'm not doing horribly, but I don't have all these wonderful weapons, and I'm not running raids or the special parts of raids every week. Although special mention to BelleBunny for handing me that the checkpoint to those floating marshmallows. I really appreciate it.
Floating marshmallow.
I couldn't think the Gorgons. I got the Gorgon checkpoint, and so now I will be able to bounce back and forth on the Xbox in that chest. I'm really excited about doing that. So thank you for that. How are you doing, Sharks?
Normally I get on, I listen to you guys, I'm all nice and calm, I have a drink, and now I'm all flustered. I'm like, I'm going to screw up on live broadcast. This is great. So, it's a lot easier to actually go and do a Crota run and be sword bearer than talk on here. So ask me after the show.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so great show tonight. And really always lots of stuff to talk about, even stuff that when it seems like we have nothing to talk about, there's always something to talk about. And actually, I'd been thinking that it would be cool to be on a show like that Mark's new show that's talking about everything but Destiny. But at the same time, really, all I ever want to talk about in real life is Destiny. I raised some kids, think about Destiny. That's it. That's the whole thing. So let's do it. So why don't we get right into the news and see what Agrios has for us to chit-chat about.
All right. Earlier this week, update 1.1.1.1 dropped. It was just an addition of installation of admin tools to enable them to better inspect and manage databases. So we don't entirely know what that means, but it was in preparation for 1.1.2. That's what we're all looking forward to. This week, they brought in design lead Emmy Chung and lead producer Matt Priestley to talk about their experiences on their live team and their work leading up to these updates. Design lead Emmy Chung says that they meet with their community and player support teams every week. They bring up the latest topics and top sentiments from various forums, VNet, Reddit, etc. And the user research team gives a regular report on how the community is spending their time in the game. They have conversations in the halls with their coworkers who ask for changes, and they get friendly peer pressure from their buddies outside the studio when they're online playing the game for themselves. Lead producer Matt Priestley goes on to add that with a game as complex as Destiny, the process to develop these updates can be tough, and he gives an example revolving around the heavy ammo glitch, or the heavy ammo bug that they just patched. The bug arose from the way in which several major gameplay systems work together. They engineered several fixes, but always wound up creating new bugs. We didn't think it was acceptable to create new problems for a minority of players. Eventually, one of our engineers had a clever insight for how to fix the bug, and they patched it in 1.1.1.
Was that a question?
No, I was going to continue, but then you started chuckling. Do you have something you'd like to say there, Remy?
No. I mean, yes. But if you were going to keep going, then I can save my comments towards the end.
No, let's go ahead and talk about their comments at this point here before we get into the meat of what they're going to be offering us.
I like it.
See, now who's the interesting person?
I think the coolest. I think the coolest thing that they've said so far here is talking about the community and player support teams. That is a job that I would be very interested in doing. Like the idea of going to these different places. Like they straight up say they go to the forums on BNet, Reddit, etc., and they look for what people are talking about. And I don't know. This is exciting. You know, like whenever I see somebody posting about more vault space, I think, man, I know that they know that. And then I think, well, I'm glad that you posted that because I don't have to post it. Like I don't have to post every day. I want more vault space. They already know. But I don't know. There's been a lot of stuff in the community recently that would be really awesome. Like the shaders for the Suros regime. Like that video is cool. Those people making those videos are awesome. Like I wish I had the time to put into realizing a UI like this. Like I think of these things, but I don't have time to animate it. Like seeing it live like that is really awesome. I don't know. Open floor. Anybody else have anything to say to this before they get to the meat of this?
You know, I actually have to say kudos to the people that are working at Destiny because, working on Destiny and Bungie because, to be quite honest, I mean, we sit here and we go through videos and whatnot. We aren't even getting a fraction of what's out there. And, I mean, I jump online, Agros is like, oh, did you hear about this? I was like, no. Did you hear about this? It's like, they only have a small group of people that are doing this, but they're able to pull all this information in and sort through it and then try to find out which one is highest on the list that they're going to have to be working on next. I mean, it's quite amazing when you really think about it.
Definitely.
I agree. I was going to say, I 100% agree. And whenever I hear people who try to claim that Bungie isn't listening, like the other sad thing is like, I give them so much credit because the amount of crap they also have to sift through on the forums of people just being really mad at them or trolling them. The fact that they find these things mixed amongst all that is really impressive too. And I don't know, like when I see people say things like, that they're not really listening, it's like I want to just kind of like, I'm going to post this link to them and be like, yeah, like, because they are, it is. And I think it's good that they also admitted the fact that, it takes a lot of work to do even some of the smallest updates sometimes. And I think people forget that. So I think it's great that they were honest about it and said, yeah, we're listening to you. We're doing everything that we can. It takes time, and I appreciate that.
Right. I sometimes feel really horrible for Deej and the people who are running, some of these social media accounts because, I don't know, they tweeted out, oh, we thank you very much for the congratulations. It's nice to win Game of the Year or whatever. And then just the first 25 comments is just vitriol. It's just the most horrible people in the world. Like, why are you following Bungie? Why are you talking to Bungie? Like, if you hate Destiny so badly, why are you here? This added nothing to the debate, Even the people yelling vault space in Yellowhorn, at least that's almost constructive.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's sad. It doesn't matter where you go, you always get the trolls, and
they're always
so
the first to the they're always first up to bat too. It's like it can't be the positive people that are like, oh yay, congratulations, that get there first. No, it's the trolls that are sitting there without a life that are like, oh, it's an opportunity. Like, but I give them a lot of credit for how they handle all that too.
Yeah, I imagine there's many nights where, like, if I was to be these people, I would just sit in my house and cry.
Oh.
I mean, like, I feel like a Destiny winning Game of the Year is cool. Like, I don't remember another game from 2014. Like, I know that being so Destiny centric, helps that. But I've been a gamer for a long time. Like, I've been playing video games since Final Fantasy 1, since Zelda 1. Like, Like I've seen it all come through here, and for it to win, it's not a head scratching thing. Was there problems? Certainly. Was the scope not what everybody in the world, including myself, wanted? Absolutely. But that has nothing to do with how awesome it is. And I know that people are either just being rude or playing on Xbox One when they talk about the shitty controls. You know, like I know that they're either making it up or they're playing on the Xbox One.
Okay, so Remy, with River not here, that's pretty low.
Wait. No, because I step into his place here. Thank you, and I
Oh.
represent Xbox
You have an
One.
Xboxer.
No, wait. What do you mean? Because I'm a little curious about what you mean. Because I play on both, and I don't know. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Crappy controls. Like
so
what?
I've been playing since release on PlayStation 4 and Xbox 360, and I was really looking forward to playing it on the Xbox One, and I just picked up one recently, and the controls are they just don't feel right in comparison to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 360. And I really expected there to be more of an upward transition from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, but to be perfectly honest, I would much rather play it on the Xbox 360. I mean, it looks...
Like, do you mean the controller itself, or
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, like the
Oh.
controls from the controller. Like inputting my movements on the 360 controller feels amazing and natural and awesome. And when I try and play it on the Xbox One, it's like they were trying to make it uncomfortable. I don't know.
You
and
sure
that-
you're not just used to it yet?
well,
Maybe.
I don't know. You know, I
I don't know, because I guess I don't really notice. Like, I mean, I guess if I had to say like the controller itself and how it functions, like I guess PlayStation's better for me, but part of it's because I have small hands, so like it fits like the way that things are positioned and the way that they function. But like as far as like how it connects to the game, I guess I don't know if I really notice a big difference.
You know what's also a bummer is it keeps shutting off. The controllers keep shutting off. I've bought 2 controllers, and every now and then they just decide to, like, they don't ever actually turn off, but it loses connection to the Xbox One. That's a no-no. That is a no-no. Like,
I think you got a bad Xbox. No offense, but like with what happened with the stream the other day too, like that just I don't know.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I wasn't streaming from it though. That would have been something else.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's one thing I have to say. I hate how the streaming works from Xbox. That's a whole different story.
right. And why is that Xbox button placed so far up on the controller? It should be right in between the start and select.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it
I
was
guess,
on the
yeah.
Xbox 360.
It's not as
and then the
comfortable as
bumpers.
PlayStation.
The bumpers are basically unusable if you like to ride your fingers up a little higher on the bumpers. Like half of the bumper is not usable. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna notice it when I play next time. Like I'm gonna be sitting here like I'm like holding my controller right now. I'm like,
Right. I'm sorry.
And now I kind of see what you mean. I use the bottom half of the bumpers only.
Yeah. Well, because you can't use.
Dang it!
Belle, you do realize you're supposed to be stepping in for River, and River totally disagrees with Remy on this one. So you're blowing
rewind,
it here.
Rewind. Say it one more time, Remy. Say it again. It's you don't like the controls, right?
You know
well,
what?
Damn it, Remy! I disagree with you.
You know what's funny is
You're wrong.
I want to put together a fund. Like I want River to play this on the PlayStation 4 because I really think that he'll agree. And it was funny because earlier today, Badass Brit, the founder of the Strangers Army, said like just tweeted out, "Hey, sorry guys, but I really enjoy playing Destiny on the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One because the movement just feels more natural." And she's only had that PlayStation 4 for, just a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah. I would say it looks crisper. It does look nicer, so maybe that's part of it. Is like it plays like it visually plays better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna like sit here and go back and forth and test it out. And
You know what? It's
gonna
not.
bug me.
It's not like it wouldn't. Like when the Xbox 360 is discontinued, it's not like I'm not going to play on the Xbox One. I really feel betrayed in that I was like an Xbox fanboy. Like I didn't buy any PlayStations. Like I played some of the PlayStation 1, like when you were still able to rent a system from a rental store. We rented it, and we rented like Battle Arena to Shinden and Loaded and Resident Evil, and it was awesome. It was such great times. But I I don't know, all my friends were playing on Xbox, and I really was comfortable with that brand. So I only made the switch to PlayStation 4 because Bungie was, basically sounding the horn. Like, here's these exclusives. This is what we're playing. I don't know. It just seemed like I just wanted to go where they were going. I trust Bungie, and after I found out that they had a hand in developing the controller for the PlayStation 4, like helping them get the DualShock 4 to where it is now, I really was interested in where it was going to go, but I really didn't expect the Xbox One controller to be so, I don't know, just a letdown. Like, it's not the successor to the Xbox 360 controller. If I could play my Xbox
It's not really an
One,
upgrade, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah.
I don't know. I said last week on the show that I think that somebody went to Xbox with the intention of screwing up their system because
That's how it feels sometimes.
If the original Xbox has anything to say about it, there might be a controller redesign eventually.
Oh, okay, you're right. I remember they brought out that S. You're totally
And
right.
I suppose technically there was also a redesign for the original 360 controller, but all they added was that weird swivelly D-pad.
Oh yeah, I never played with that.
I never even seen one.
But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, River has been represented. You've told me off, and I've learned my lesson. So yeah, well, unless anybody else has more comments, why don't we get to the meat of these things? Unless you had something to say about this, Agrios?
No, I don't have anything to add. I mean, you guys pretty much said any sentiments that I would have had, toward that aspect. I mean, for a while I was a mod over at the subreddit, and I'll tell you what, like, getting to have to filter through all the toxic comments before they even hit the board sometimes. Yeah, it gets tedious there for a while there, and those guys should be commended for their dedication, especially when the game starts to die a little bit off between DLCs. You start to wane interest. I mean, those guys over there have a relatively small team, and they do a pretty good job with what they have.
Awesome, definitely, I'll definitely agree with that. And because you've seen the other side, that's really cool. That's really cool to have you on the team.
But moving on. So the meat of what they expect to offer to us here in 1.1.2. No promises here yet, but they do say that they are excited about exploring these things. Number one on the list, vault space. That's number one on my list too.
Yay!
Yeah. Woo, yay. Woo, party time. Seriously, I never could understand why in a game about collecting loot, about collecting epic, legendary, and exotic loot, that you only have 20 spaces to store all your epic treasure in.
See, I wonder if part of it was originally, if they wanted to try to force you to be more choosy about what you were going to keep to make it more interesting, and then I think they realized that so many people had the desire to collect everything, especially
Totally.
exotics. And like, if you have all the exotics, that alone fills your vault. You can't have anything else if you have that. And I think they maybe realized as they went that didn't make it interesting. It just made it frustrating.
The only problem with that thought is every single weapon is so useful in certain aspects left for each Nightfall. So if they even thought about that, it doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot about specialization.
So I totally agree with you, Bell. I feel like that was part of the design, was to really make you have to choose which ones you wanted, and it kind of goes along with this weapon is this weapon. It's always going to look like this, and whenever somebody sees it, they're going to know what that does. Like, this kind of feeds into that. I've chosen to use these ones, and this is my guardian. But really, there's so much lore linked in with some of the pieces of gear, like specifically on the Xbox. I've had to keep around a bunch of useless stuff just so I can have access to those bits of information. And it would be really nice to just be able to put them somewhere. Like right. You know what? I don't even want more vault space so much as I just want more space to put stuff. Like, let's keep the vault itself at 20, but give me somewhere else to put stuff away that I know I'm never going to use again, but I have no interest in throwing it away. And
See, that's why.
Continue.
Sorry. I was just gonna say the fact that we can use the companion app the way that we can with shifting things from our vault to our characters and stuff now. Like, I wonder if, obviously it would take a lot of work to figure out exactly how to do it, but I feel like easier than putting in-game vault space. What if you did it where you had like a secondary vault that's just on the app? Obviously they'd have to fix the whole issue of things disappearing before they do that. But like, you know, if you had like a secondary vault where you can put things whether you want to touch them or not, and then the only way to access them is from the app. Like, you can't do it in-game, but you can move things from that to your actual in-game vault and pick things up from there. That way you could have like infinite space and not have to worry about programming it into the game and taking up space of the game.
All right,
I
as
don't
long
know.
as you're talking about mobile or computers, because I could see, you know, there might be some people out there playing this game that don't have a smartphone. You know?
Oh yeah, I don't. That's why like it would have to be accessible basically on Bungie.net. Period. Like
Totally.
not just on the phone. Yeah, because I can't do that crap on my phone. I have a dumb phone.
I mean, because really, there's so many cool little pieces of gear and sets of gear that I want to just hold on to, like the Locust Watcher. It's a set of Warlock gear that looks really cool. There's a bunch of different variants of them. I'd like to collect them. I'd like to have each of them. I'd like to be able to look at them and just have them, but I don't want them filling up my character. I don't want them filling up the vault. Yeah, I would be really interested in a...
I don't want to sift through all of it. That's, yeah, because, like,
See, that-
even if you give me more vault space, now I have to, like, scroll through all of my, like, hoarding, you know?
Totally.
I'm too
And
lazy for
that's
that.
That's why we need apartments with mannequins to display those sets
I
of
was
armor
waiting
that
for
we're not
one of you
intending
to
on
say
using.
Totally.
And we need, you know, wall space to hang our glorious weapons. Like, this is my first rifle from Destiny. I spent 400 hours pulling the R2, holding it.
Right. Totally. I was actually going to. This is one of those things that I wish I had time to do. Is I was going to take a picture of where the gunsmith is, and then put in all of the different weapons that I don't want to use anymore, but I don't want to throw away. You know, I'd like to be born. You know, once I get my fourth, right up on the wall, I'd like to just put it there. You know, like I would like a space very similar to what the gunsmith has. Where I could display these things. And yeah, the mannequins would be a great example. Like if I had an apartment where I could scroll through these mannequins and I could say, oh, I finally got that Locust Watcher 4 gauntlet. And then I could go, like, this is a whole aspect of the game that would be amazing. It would, you know, like, there's a lot of times when I want to play video games, but I don't want to go into a strike. I don't want to go shoot things. I just want to exist there. And with Halo, that existing came with Forge. I was able to just make whatever I wanted, you know, just experiment with different pieces and the way they look and like ramps and jump vehicles off of it. Like, I don't know, there was just so much other stuff to do. And Vault Space, I don't know. I'm glad that they're bringing up more Vault Space because it's, you know, there's just too much stuff to collect. But we need other space too. Space where it's not like I don't need to ever wear that Locust Watcher if I could just have it in a place waiting for me. You know, I don't need to be switching between it. I definitely don't need to be switching between it through my mobile app, you know?
Yeah, but don't you guys think that just a bigger vault in general would be easier for them to program than an entire house or an apartment to make this mannequin and do all this stuff? We're just talking about, you know, a little bit of space, a little more squares, and just put in multiple items. You know, that it seems like that would be easier to do than what you guys are elaborating on. Not that I wouldn't want it. I mean, I think it would be cool to have that little apartment to do all that stuff with. But
it would take a lot of programming to do.
Yeah, and then
just being able to put them on a mannequin and have them show up, that alone would be a lot of programming.
Well, no, but it's already in the game. Like every time you press the start button, there's your mannequin with your stuff on it. Like it would just be like what you guys are talking about is cool. Let's focus on the symptoms, but what about the cause? You know, the cause is that people want to collect, you know?
Right.
Like that's the cause is that people want to collect.
If it was purely a visual one, like if it was in your start menu and not a physical like apartment you go to and you put stuff on physical mannequins that then you can interact with, if it was just all in your start menu and you could just kind of like scroll through a list even in there, sure, I could support that as far as like programming goes. 'Cause I think that
Really?
would make a lot
Because
less. And
that seems way crazier on the programming side than like my vote since the alpha has been that round door right outside the speaker is where our apartments are or where we're going to go, you know, like there's like a portal back there where you can choose to go, like what is behind there. I have to know what is behind there right now.
They
You
don't
know?
Yeah, but
even need a
you know what you're going to
portal.
start? You're going to start aggro saying, what's the main reason that we're not having any of this in the game right now?
Oh yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
waiting for my moment to say that.
So, yeah, so this is something that like oftentimes we'll be talking about. Man, it would be really great, you know, like me and Sharks and Agrios are in the middle of a mission, and we just start dreaming up like, man, it would be really cool if we did this, and this always prompts Agrios to say,
But I don't know. What do I say? I don't listen to myself.
Oh, whatever.
I was going to give you that.
oh, that was
Maybe
great.
they should steal an idea from World of Warcraft when they added transmogrification, which is using like items to be cosmetic replacements for what you're wearing. They also added something called void storage, which is just super huge banks that you can throw stuff in that you want to keep, but you don't really use often.
there it is.
Like the chests in Skyrim, where you can just pile like as much crap into a chest as you want, basically. Like, you know.
Right.
That's
So,
I think that causing people's Skyrim games to crash late game is because they had too much stuff in various
Right.
It
throughout
also, yeah, but Skyrim also had that crazy bug where the mannequins started following you, so maybe
What?
mannequins aren't a good
Really?
idea.
Yeah,
I need to go back and play this.
Really creepy.
Yeah, they just start like slowly walking towards you.
That's so creepy.
I'll link it in the chat.
Oh my gosh. Who thinks that the vault space is going to be added on the reef, though, since there's that whole talk of that it's another social space? Do you think they'll have two separate vault spaces that you have to go between, or will they just actually add it into the one we already have?
man,
I think
this
they're
is
just adding it. They already
this
have.
is a really great question, but this actually leads into the idea that I was thinking that once they open up the reef, this is where we're going to find Osiris and Seven Seraphs. You know, like we haven't been given information on these, and in the Dead Orbit, it says that Dead Orbit is from the Vanguard. It says something about they can. What was it like? They can barely keep him in the tower, or there's just barely a thread of him wanting to be there.
Mhm.
And I think that's because there's this whole other side of the story that we just begun to see with the Queen and the Reef. Like there's a whole other, like those people are chilling with Fallen. Like that's, that's crazy, right? So
Yeah.
so I think that it will be, connected. I think it will be all the same vault space, and that's even if you can access the vault from the Reef. It's who even knows what's going to be there, but it's exciting. I'm excited. Somebody
Yeah.
was asking if that was something that was even cool. Do we even need another social space? And I think yes.
I'm just going to keep hoping that the tower is out completely destroyed and we're at the reef because we have to live there now.
Oh, that's
That'd be
interesting.
interesting,
You know
yeah.
what? And that would really answer the what's going on in the city. Like if all of that is destroyed, then Bungie doesn't have to worry about answering any of those questions.
Right?
I don't know. That's crazy talk, though. I don't think they'll take away the tower. I
I don't
mean,
think they will either.
I
I would
mean,
like-
what's that?
I said I would like them to. I said I don't think they will either, but I'd like them to.
Interesting.
I think that'd be
Wait,
intriguing.
why do we
like
want
a
the
map
tower
of
to
change
go away?
in the world like that, you know?
Well, I think it would be a great storytelling mechanic. Like you can no longer go to the tower. Like all of the time that we've spent there and all the dancing and playing soccer gets no more. I mean, this goes back to the idea of whether they're going to include all of these original areas from Destiny 1 into Destiny 2. And I just can't imagine them throwing away, something like the steps, like where young guardians go to shoot their first Fallen in the Wild. It seems to me that they've put a lot of time and energy into those areas, and that taking them into the next one makes a lot of sense. But you weren't here for that conversation, Belle. What do you think about that?
Well, I was in chat for it, but I think I'm always in chat. No. I think,
And we appreciate you.
Aw. But no, I do think that they're going to. I mean, from the beginning, I've always thought they were going to continue basically everything, like where your character's at. Because some people are wondering if they're gonna make you start over your character as a completely new thing with Destiny 2, or if they're gonna continue spaces over. And I don't know. I think that they, just because of the way that the leveling system works, and like you said, all of the effort they've put into these places, and the fact that they keep adding to them and fixing things and changing things, I don't think they're just going to suddenly cut that off and throw it out. Also, because that would be like a million times more work than I think they'd want to do to start from scratch on a lot of things, you know.
Totally.
But I mean, it could be. I could see it being interesting if something like Michael from the chat was even saying, I was going to say this myself, but if there was like, if we did have that like public event attack on the tower and it was destroyed, then I could see it being kind of cool that it's not accessible in the next game, because the next game is like darker and you don't have that safe haven. You know, that could be interesting. I don't know if they would ever do that. Maybe way down the road. I could see that like, you know, Destiny 5 or something, maybe. Like, but
Right.
I don't think they would do that anytime soon. I think I don't know.
What do you think
I don't
about
really
that,
think
Shark?
that they're going to. I don't really think they're going to eliminate the tower either. I think they have too much invested in it to just straight up eliminate it. But I could see the reef being an additional place that for high level players, in high level players' world, the tower is destroyed and the reef's their social space. And basically, the tower would still be like the low level social space for people like who are just going from 1 to like 20 something. But once you hit the point in the storyline where you go to the reef, then you've gone to the reef. The tower is no more for you.
Interesting. That's a very interesting thought. It does separate the population for a good portion of time.
Yeah, or it could be just like an expansion too. You know, they're saying that everything is going to carry over and characters are going to carry over, but you may have the opportunity to go back to the tower if you want to, but you're not going to. The same reason why people don't go back and play Vault of Glass. It's obsolete, you know, to a point.
Dude,
Once
I play it.
you know, it's not to say that it's not there necessarily. You don't have to blow it up, but who wants to go back to the tower when you can go to old Chicago or something like that?
Right. Well, the reef will be the cool new thing, yeah. So why would you go hang out at the tower?
Right.
Well,
Especially because
if you-
even like the few things that only go there, like Xur, okay, maybe you'd go there once a week for Xur if he doesn't
Well,
show up at the reef.
If you wanted
as
to hang
well.
out with those Vanguard as well, or like the different factions, you know, what if they didn't want to go to the reef? I doubt
That's
New
true.
Monarchy is interested in having a presence at the reef.
But I mean, how often do people like, unless you're working towards a specific item you want from them, how often do you actually go walk up to like the average player? You know, somebody who isn't like fully running a faction all the time. You don't really do like. I mean, the last time I went to the speaker was purely just because I was like, oh, I wonder if he has same stuff. Like, you know, like he's one of the few things that's really unique to the tower that you couldn't have anywhere else, or like you said, the factions, unless you had different representatives for the factions.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't
now
know.
you don't have to go to the factions anymore to see their rep.
that's true. Unless you're purchasing something, why would you really go to them? I guess.
Totally. You know what? And that's a good point about the speaker. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say.
They haven't put him to very good use. He's just been recycling the same items since the game came out. I was expecting him to get new items for the DLC, and he's such an important character. I expected him to have more of a role in everything. But after you finish your first couple story missions, he's just kind of dead in the water.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I was going to say, Bill, is I haven't visited the speaker in so long, and it's it's sad. It's sad to think that somebody so clearly important to the story and to this world is largely forgotten. There is no reason. Like the last thing I bought was this really sweet hunter cloak. It's like that one with the red bird on it, and it's got those black lines and the white lines going down the back. It's super sweet, super beautiful. But that's it. Like I haven't bought anything else from him. You know, the Titan marks are okay, but not worth spending money on. And then who even can see those? You know, the bonds.
But see, that's the same problem with like Eva Levante. You know, he hardly changes anything. She doesn't change her shaders. I mean, you have something like that. I mean, this is the one thing that really bugs me. What Bungie did, they touted the entire time, you know, before Alpha came out, Beta came out. we're going to have this game. Everybody's going to be different. We're going to be able to do all this mismatching and everything. And I go into the tower and I see people that look exactly like me
Oh,
every
everybody
single
looks the
day.
same.
Yeah, it drives me insane. It's like,
32
well,
is if you're a 32 warlock, you have like maybe there's like 5 shaders that
uh-huh.
everybody actually likes, and that's
Yep.
about the only difference right
Yep.
now. Like,
And it's like that with her, and same thing with the speaker. They need to add more stuff, and
I
that's the stuff I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
And this
agreed.
idea I was talking with my husband about. You were talking about, Remy, about how like you like to just kind of exist in the game sometimes. And him and I, Xbox recently finally added in the ability to take screenshots,
Oh
which
yeah.
made me super happy. So we were just sitting there like taking the stupidest couple pictures ever around the entire tower for like 2 hours last night. But
That's awesome.
I was sitting there looking at like some of the emblems and stuff that the Shady Lady has, and I'm like, how cool would it be if, because like everybody was talking about like it'd be really cool if like different clans could design their own, but I understand they don't want inappropriate things being put out there, which is kind of actually cool of them. But what if you could just have people submit them? Like even if it's not Bungie themselves that look at it, but just have like competitions or something with people you trust, artists even outside of you that you trust, to kind of judge them, and then randomly, even without telling us necessarily, just randomly they'll stick in like a new emblem here and there that was made by somebody in the community, and all of a sudden Shady Lady's selling it. Like that would be so cool if you just had a whole bunch of them to pick from, and they're constantly interchanging, and that way, like if you didn't, kind of like with Zer when he sells certain things and he never sells again, like maybe you won't ever see that emblem for a really long time. So it's super unique. And you could do the same thing with shaders potentially too, but
Totally. And you know what? Like, I get it. I get that they don't want people putting inappropriate stuff on these things in this game. But at the same time, there's ways to police this. There's ways that they should be policing this. And actually, it really kind of pissed me off the other day. Deej posted a picture of him, and I think it was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And he said, "Oh yeah, representing Dead Orbit." And then somebody said, "Oh, how do you get that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just the emblem editor." And I want that emblem editor so bad. I did a whole video on this before Destiny came out about how cool it would be to be able to replicate these things. And I took a DeLorean and I turned it into a future war cult DeLorean. Like I put stripes down it and like bullet holes, and using the primitive shapes, I was able to accurately recreate the Traveler. I was accurately able to recreate the tricorn, the future war cult symbol. Like it's
like with Battlefield when you can do your emblems like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like that needs to be in the game.
I think they are worried about just inappropriate symbols and stuff, because like they ran into that even with Halo. People made penises and crap like that all the time, and like I get they want to be friendly to everybody, so I wonder if there was a way to police it slightly.
Yeah, but you don't have to make it so specific. I mean, you could literally have, I'm going to have shaders for my legs, shaders for my torso, arms, and heads. I mean, just cool. That alone, that would make everything so much different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or upgrade low-level items so that everybody could have all different freaking armor pieces all the time. That's what I want.
You know what? So that's a really interesting topic that you're bringing up here. I wanted to touch on this real quick. Is Fuzzle posted a video that should have been movie of the week, and it was basically this thing called What If, and it went through all of these different what ifs, like what if you could change the shader. What did you just say, BelleBunny? What was your...
Oh, upgrading the lower level armor pieces. Yeah.
So it showed a Guardian going to the bottom of that gyroscope in the speakers thing, and they had rigged up a visual as what it would look like to transfer light from one set of gear to another.
Yes, I love that idea.
Right? How amazing would that be?
You had to put the effort in already to at least earn or get or roll the 32 level gear or whatever, and now you're allowed to just transfer that level to anything else.
Right.
I feel like that'd be so much easier than any of the other ideas that people have come up with of, having to upgrade each piece of armor or whatever like that I've talked about before too. Like, that's just so simple and perfect. Like,
Right? Just so simple and perfect. And some of them, some of the green pieces, some of the blue pieces are just beautiful, and I would
Yes.
rock them. And the other people rocking those same pieces, I know would want to have those. Like when I see someone walking around, like you were saying, if you're 32, you know what gear you have. When I see someone who's 32, I will still know that they did what they needed to do to get to that light level. I will think to myself, they ran Crota a bunch of times. Like that's how they got to 32. It doesn't matter what they're wearing, but that's what's so important about it, is that they would be able to choose what armor they attached that light level to.
I'm jealous of like those level 5s that run around the tower. I'm like, I want to look like you again.
Yeah.
I miss
They're
that.
better looking than some of the exotic stuff or
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the stuff by far.
Right?
Well,
like, look
when
at the
the game,
stranger's rifle, even. That should be an exotic. I'm sorry, because it basically is. It looks a lot like Fate of All Fools, like, but no, it's fine.
They should have did like a Husk of the Pit thing with it, where you started off with it as a green. It was issued to you at level 16 as a green, and by the time you hit 20, you could upgrade it to a blue. And by the time then you hit like 26 or whatever, or like maybe from hard mode Atheon, you got something like Crux of Crota to like bump it up to the exotic level. But
Or why not
totally
have something like that that drops in
opportunity.
the raids that you can apply to any weapon?
Yep.
That
See,
would
That'd
be
be
awesome.
kind of cool.
Or not have it drop in the raid. See, this is the one thing I mean, obviously I have almost every single gun in existence, so I've done it and I've gone through the raid and got it, but it's kind of unfair to in a lot of ways, because they promote Destiny as being this game that you do not have to go and do it this particular way, but that's actually not true. If somebody that never gets in a raid group wants a certain gun, they're not going to have a chance to do that. So why have them upgrade it with something like a raids thing? Just have people upgrade stuff. It shouldn't make a difference how you're doing it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't make it so hard.
back when the game was doing the big hype build up, they mentioned that you'd want to cannibalize weapons for other weapons. I half imagine that you would cannibalize like a high level gun and then you'd equip the level to whatever gun you wanted.
Yeah, I do
Or
too.
even similar to a similar type of gun even.
Right, or even what if guns were treated as guardians are, where our level is determined by the different pieces that we had. So like the stock would be one, and the barrel would be another, and the scope would be another. And so when I was imagining this cannibalism, I imagined I would like to take this this scope off of this weapon. So glad I found this weapon. Now I'm going to break this weapon down and take that scope with me and add it to whatever it connects with,
Yep.
and, so I don't know, like that would be another way of determining the level of the gun. Like that would be so cool. Could you imagine?
The only issue you'd have to make sure you're not taking the like perks that go with it necessarily, because then you could have people. I mean, either you're going to add a whole lot more, I guess, programming in to set limitations for what guns certain things can go on to, I guess, or you're going to end up with people building these crazy, ridiculous weapons that, you know what I mean? Like,
Felwinter's Lie?
oh, well, yeah. But, I mean, like, if somebody actually, like, pieced it... Yeah, okay, if they took parts of like, let's say I took the perk from Felwinter's Lie that allows me to have, where I can shotgun somebody from across the map, and I apply that to something else. I don't know if I should be able to do that, per se, but yeah, the light levels with those pieces would be really interesting.
Well, see, Felwinter's Lie is the perfect storm of having a really high impact weapon and a shotgun mixed with being able to re-roll it to get the perfect, which is like shot package, which reduces the spread. Yeah,
I want that gun.
That's why it was so
I hate
bad.
that gun, but I want that gun. Like, when everybody else has it, I hate it. If I have it, I'll love it. That's how it works,
But the way that they would get around that is to have each weapon part individually balanced itself. Like, if everything is balanced between the weapon parts, then a weapon with any amount of weapon parts would balance itself.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And actually, I really like the idea of certain perks being connected to certain pieces of gear.
Like, it would make most sense to have like the radar when you're aimed down sights to be a perk that comes from whatever scope you put on it.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And you know what? I bet they've already got a chart like this, that keeps them in check themselves. Like, I imagine it would be difficult not to want to make the most badass weapon that you could. What's his face? One of those gun designers. They've got to have some kind of. Well, I've added this and this. I can't put that in, or they've made it to where everything is fairly equal. But if you get certain things, that's just luckier.
Yeah, but
Well, I
look at
think-
the guns now; they're not equal. I mean, if you were to ask K-Dub, what's the best rocket launcher out there? It'd be the one that he doesn't have. So, but that's what I'm saying. There are certain guns that just blow everything else out of the water. So who
Right.
cares if somebody's going to design something
Well,
that's going to rock?
I think they're trying to fix that though. Like every time they do a weapons up, they do talk about how they are trying to, even with exotics, that they want them to be unique but not necessarily completely OP. Like they are. I mean, it takes a lot of time to figure them all out, but I think they want them to be more equal than they are, but I don't know because they always say it, like they hint at it, but then they, say they're fixing the shotguns and they don't really fix the shotguns, so I don't know.
as a random aside, I said this during like one of the off-air times, but I did a quick, I guess, study. I sent out during that developer open house. I said, "Why hasn't Yalhorn been nerfed yet?" And all but one of the people that replied saying, "Hey, it doesn't need to be nerfed," had Yalhorn equipped.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who have it that say, yeah, it should be, because like I keep saying to people, like, we go into something like my husband and I did the Nightfall, just the two of us, the other day, and we're like, oh, it's gonna be kind of tough, whatever, we're gonna do, and I'm like, oh, let's just snipe him because he's standing still, and then he puts like 4 Yalahorn rounds into him, he's dead, like
Yeah.
almost on his own. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna run around with people that have Yellowhorn from now on for any boss, because like that's just,
It's
Yep.
great being a good choice. It's bad being the choice.
Right.
Yes,
Totally.
I like that.
All right, so we're running down the clock quickly here. We need to move on.
I told you I'd get
I
it back
feel
on
like
track.
that started on that was my fault that time.
Well, Destiny is fun to talk about, and the topics don't always contain themselves, So let's move it back on with Agrios.
All right. The next thing on their plate for 1.1.2 is raid fixes. There are times when Atheon and Crota can be uncooperative, so we're tackling their worst bugs. As Guardian 1's resident chief champion sword runner, Crota never does anything he's not supposed to or gives you any problems, does he, Sharks?
I hate Crota's glitches. I swear. That's the one bane I have. We go in there, we have the best team ever. I'm sitting there, I'm doing everything perfectly, and what's he do? He doesn't kneel, or he does kneel, or he swipes me when I'm halfway across the area. Yeah, fix him. He should have never come out like that. It's
All right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's the best one. The best one happened just earlier this week. This is the best one so far. Okay, so we're I think it's Crota normal even is this happened
Yep,
on. We
it
were doing
was.
Crota normal.
Yep.
And we were, I don't know, like 4-manning it. I don't remember. Something along the lines. But that was never a problem. I mean, 2 Gallahorn shots square dropped Crota during normal, and we were firing more than that.
Cough.
And so Sharks goes fire. Up on, and we launch. Crota takes all the shots. No one else fires a thing after those shots hit him. He turns, jumps across the stage, chops Sharks in half, kills Sharks, then turns, looks at us, and then kneels.
Yep.
Like, we only put that initial blast to him.
Yep. But it's all the time though. I mean, we were doing Crota run with Turks a couple weeks ago, and I felt so bad for him. I mean, the poor guy. I don't know if he's actually gotten through a raid yet on hard mode with Crota. Maybe Bife's gone and held his hand and taken him through one because we were blasting the living daylights out of him, and there's no way that we should have lost. And then the last sword run, Crota does something stupid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Mark's
And for those of you,
like,
I'm gonna shut up. Just go ahead.
that's good. I was going to go.
I was just gonna. It's off. It's on to Atheon. So finish your Mark Crota spiel, and then I'll say things.
No, I was just saying Mark seems to be jinxed. Every time, I mean, Sharks and I will go on runs and we'll beat Crota several times over, and then we'll try to take Mark on a run, and everything that can possibly go wrong for him goes wrong.
I swear, if I didn't have all the Glowhoo and the guns to prove that I've beaten it, he would never believe that we've ever beaten Crota, I swear.
Right.
For Mark, it's just not possible.
Yep.
Right, I'm one of those people too, though. I'm one of those people too. Like Sharks is like, "Oh, hey, dude, jump on in, and we'll get you some fucking gear." And
then you break the game.
right, 2 hours later, I'm like, "All right, I'll see you guys later."
That's how it is for River on Vault of Glass. I don't know. Have you guys gotten him through anybody on hard yet? Because the last I knew, he still hadn't completed hard mode. Because
I think I heard him earlier this week say that he had beaten hard, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Because I know it took forever for him even just to get through normal. Because it hates him, I swear.
I think I remember seeing him tweeting thanking somebody for it, but I'm not 100% on that.
Okay. Because if you can believe it, Atheon's even worse than it used to be now. Like, the last 2 times I tried to do it, once on hard and one on normal. I was doing it with Guardian Radio, and then I was doing it with, like, my normal group the other day. And it was so bad. During Templar is now the part that's just broken. Like, we got random detainment shields out of nowhere, like even when we weren't supposed to, like we didn't even take down his shield, and then there were invisible detainment shields. Then with Guardian Radio, it was we couldn't revive each other. Then we finally could revive people, but they had no weapons. Even if you like activated your super, it just disappeared and you couldn't do anything. We had oracles that would like only half appear, and then just stop. Like, you just couldn't do anything. It was so bad. And then my husband was with me on one of them, and he just randomly just died. Like, I don't even know. He, like, got halfway thrown across the map or something happened to him, but he just, no idea what happened to him. He was the last one live. It just, it's bad. It's really, and that's not even on their list of stuff, like, that's wrong with it. So, it's worse, I promise.
Well, it was on the list this weekly update, so.
Right?
Yeah.
But all the stuff they want to fix has to do with Atheon.
No,
Well, I
and
think he's
Crota.
referring
Both.
to
No, I know. I mean, like, when you go to the list lower about, like,
right.
Yeah, when it breaks it down more, it's all Atheon related and all, like, hard mode related, not Templar. So maybe it's just a current, like, this week it sucked. I don't know. But, okay, I'm shutting up again.
Well, that's going to make it difficult, it's a talk show.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, it's not the bunny talk show, and I happen to attend it, yeah. So, I'm going to filter myself more.
Anybody else have anything nasty to say about Crota or Atheon?
No,
Nope.
I will say everything great when they fix it, though. So,
Until then.
yeah, until then.
All right.
Crota gave me Fang. That's nice of him.
That is
Well,
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
Fang
awesome.
is beautiful. Moving on, audio and visual. That's one of the next major tasks. Not everyone wants to see or hear a game the same way, which is why they're looking to provide more options. I have heard quite a few Guardians complain over time that they want more options there. They want to be able to turn down different parts of the audio or turn up different parts of the audio. And in-game voice controls would be nice, too.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
I might actually be able to hear Remy at night.
Right? Well, I bet if you used a headset and instead of trying to play it through your speakers, I bet that would.
Okay, you're probably right.
but I wouldn't get to hang out with his wife anymore if he did it that way.
Oh, that you know what though? That's only the option for when she's not hanging out. That makes
No,
sense. to
yeah,
me.
no, that's I'm allowed to get a headset as long as I don't wear it in her presence. That's what she told me. So
You know what though? In addition, I think that you can have the audio come through headset and the TV. I think
Yeah.
that's an option.
Yep, you
So,
can.
but I could see the headset getting in the way. So
Oh, a lot of people don't like headsets if they have someone next to you because it kind of secludes you from them.
yeah, makes sense to me.
yep.
I want my vote for the audio fix is I want a mute Dinklebot button. That's all I want. I want to mute him
Poor
completely.
Dinklebot.
Why does Dinklebot get so much hate?
Because when I am grinding a certain part,
Yeah,
I
got my
don't
little
want to hear him
Dinklebot
again.
I miss not hearing it.
Right. Well,
Here's-
you know what bothers me is that when I'm like 95% of the way done through a public event and everything's going great, and then he says like, "Oh, this could be going better."
That's exactly what I was just gonna say.
Like, what the hell, man? You know, at least
You're
have
like
it
standing on top of
contextually
the
correct.
worst at headshotting everything in sight, and he's like, "Well, this could be going better," and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Right? You're obviously not paying
Which
attention.
public event are you at?
Yeah.
Here's a random stat from my gaming career in World of Warcraft for like the first 4 years and probably still continuing if I ever play it again. I play it completely muted.
Really?
It's like the only audio I get is from like things I add later or whatever.
Interesting.
So-
I actually end up muting it sometimes as well.
I
So-
enjoy the audio feedback when I play. I actually very much dislike playing games with no audio to the point where, as if I have to have the volume down too low for some reason, I'll probably just elect to do something different.
You know what? Okay, so this is funny and also a bag on Xbox One because I will play it oftentimes. I will play Destiny oftentimes on the PlayStation 4 muted just because I would like to be able to hear everything that's going on in the room. Or, like you said, you just don't want to hear the same crap over and over. When I tried to play it on the Xbox One, the motor is so noisy, it's distracting. And now I can't even not hear it when I'm actually have the audio going on. It's like
Okay,
wah!
Remy, for River, I'm gonna go. Oh, geez.
Well, do you have an Xbox One?
No, but I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna even go near trashing it.
So
especially since I don't
today's
have
theme is Remy hates Xbox One, and Belle talks a lot.
Actually, Sharks asked me, like, I started bagging on it. I started bagging on the Xbox One, and he's like, "Oh, well, are you sad that you bought it?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm gonna get to play with River now, and that's really cool." There's like a whole 25% of the people in the gaming community playing Destiny on the Xbox One. So it's I'm happy that I got it, and like I was saying previously, Project Spark is really cool. Like I
I'm sorry,
enjoy.
you just said Project Spark because it cut out on my headset right as you said it, so it sounded like fart. I'm sorry. That's okay. I always thought it was insurmountable skull fart for the longest time. So Anyway. Oh.
So I don't know. All right, so we're 5 minutes over 9. Let's get to the end of this.
All right. PvP ammunition. The Crucible team wants to change the way ammo crates dictate the flow of battle. So apparently they're not satisfied with just removing the heavy ammo drop from Guardians upon death, but they feel other changes needed to be made to affect the flow of battle. Are you guys satisfied with the new way PvP works, or were you happier prior?
Still too much green stuff.
I think that's what they're talking
Yeah.
about.
I thought I was gonna hate the changes, to be quite honest, but it seems to be flowing a lot more. You still have people, if they're good with their heavy ammo, they're gonna have it for a long time. I mean, I guarantee I haven't played with aggros much since they've changed it, but in PvP. But I could imagine him having heavy through the entire game. But you don't have these every single person on the other team have heavy the entire game now. I like it.
Right.
I think it's great.
I still wish there was an option that if you, I don't know, like if you didn't already have heavy ammo, like you hadn't picked it up from the crate, and that if you killed somebody that had it, you get like a small percentage of what they had, even if it's just for that life and then it's gone, but only if you don't already have it. Like if you already have it, you're not allowed to pick it up again, so you're not continuously adding on. Because like, I don't know, sometimes it really sucks if you're not that person who's camping over in the area where the heavy is going to spawn. And so you almost never, like for me, I'm one of those people where I'm just all over the map all the time, and I always seem to be on the opposite side of where the heavy is when it's going to drop. So like I
Yeah, I got
never
the
end up
point.
with heavy now at all. Even if
Well,
I
see-
take out the entire team that had it, I get nothing, and that kind of sucks, but
I've been using it to my advantage, though. I've been going into PvP, and it's like, okay, you know what? I don't even care if I have heavy. I'm going to make sure that the other team doesn't get heavy. And so
Yeah.
I'll go over there and, I'm the only one over there. I'm guaranteed I'm going to die, but I'll steal the heavy. And then I have 6 players on top of me, but I've got the heavy and they don't. So,
True.
then our team goes and wins.
it is.
I don't
It's definitely more strategic then. I definitely think it added more strategy, and I like that. But
kinda
I think it works better when you're working
surprised.
with a whole team too. If you're one of those people that just like you're thrown in with randoms, it sucks more too.
Right.
But if you're actually working with people and you can communicate and do like what you're saying, that's awesome too. But
I didn't play a lot of FPS games, like, in general, but it seemed like the mechanic that most FPS games used for, like, players that go on super long streaks of winning, they always had, like, you possibly could run out of ammo if you're doing too good. Like, as kind of a limit, or limiter, I guess.
Ooh, I
And
like that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that, like, Destiny and maybe Halo seems to be so much, even primary ammo. Like,
That's
imagine
true.
a fight that just ends up that you and this other guy on the other team is doing so well, you have to just end up in a fist fight.
I like that. I could
That
see
is,
that being a
yeah.
modifier for a future game. Like you would only get ammo. That would actually be really cool.
Well,
Having ammo conservation be a factor.
it could be what's the in Nightfall and Weekly and stuff, the
Juggler.
yeah, that'd be interesting to have a whole game type for PvP that has juggler on, like, so you can still get some ammo pickups, but only from the opposite weapon that you're using, like, or something like that, or not at all until you die.
Actually, that would make the most sense because that way people wouldn't be just using shotguns because they would have to
Yeah.
switch over to the other one to get shotgun ammo.
I like that. That would fix that a lot.
Although
that
then
would
they'd
force
just run
people to use.
universal remote. They
Right.
just run universal remote and shotguns.
I suppose. But if they want to give up their exotic slot for that, that's fine with me. Whatever. Like,
Hey, universal remote is quite strong.
oh, I know. I just mean, like, then they don't have a different.
They don't have invective,
There you go.
basically.
Exactly.
And how did they not do that? That's like the easiest one. Alrighty, moving on.
Agros fell asleep.
He fell prey to the mute button. Or he's just not there anymore.
Did we
Agros,
lose them?
have you... we did lose him.
Okay. Well,
It just
next up
showed
was
on my
strikes.
screen.
They said the numbers tell us that there are some missions that are successfully completed far less than others, inspiring us to look at why people quit.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know what? I will say that I have way noticed that when I'm running rocks, there's oftentimes like nobody will help me complete Will of Crota. Like I don't think I've completed Will of Crota and a strike because once people see that they're there, they just split. They just split their.
Yeah.
Also, for the longest time, nobody was interested in running the Moon Strike. You know what? What's
Is
that?
Willa Crota is that the new one on the PlayStation exclusive one?
I don't think so.
No, whatever one that is, we were running Agros and I were running Rock Strikes last week, and we got thrown into that one 3 times, which was insane. Where's the randomness there? But every single time the third person left. They didn't stay the entire time. It's just like, it drives me insane that people will leave.
Yeah. I think part of it's because of bounties. They're looking for specific bounties, but they don't want to go and do the super low level version of the strike. So they're waiting for it to roll the correct one. And then there's certain bounties like, what's the one? There's one where like literally the person you're supposed to kill, it's on the moon. The person you're supposed to kill is literally right at the beginning of the mission or the strike or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't have to complete it. You literally just do that part and you leave.
Yeah. Damn, that's a really good point. Oh, but you know what? I don't think that...
Maybe that's not a strike. I think that's a mission. But
I think I'm thinking of sort of Crota.
Yes.
Because
but I do wonder if people do that a little bit.
Yeah, the first dude's not even inside a darkness zone.
Right. I actually like that one, but... But I could see people at least picking specifics, like they're looking for that certain strike to complete one of the bounties or something, and they're not getting it.
Killing Civics 3 on the archive is pretty quick, too.
Yeah.
But the strike ones are all at the end.
So we were talking about people leaving strikes early?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
You got loud.
I did. Odd.
Interestingly, I think Sharks and I ran into this recently with people leaving the Undying Mind strike, and I think
that's the one it was. Yeah,
they removed the Glimmer rewards from a good chunk of it, so people don't like doing it because it's a little lengthy. There's a ton of yellow dudes, and you don't get any Glimmer rewards for killing them.
Crazy.
So they feel under-rewarded for the time spent in work being done.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't know how to fix it though. So I'm interested in seeing what they're...
Well, do something like what they did with Iron Banner. I mean, that kept Iron Banner. You don't have people leaving Iron Banner. Well, I mean, you still do. You still get some, but not like a normal PvP match. I mean, I was doing PvP skirmish the other day, trying to get my Grimoire score higher. Anyways, we won't go into that. But I had people leaving left, right, and center. I mean, we were down to a team of 2 against 6, and I was just like, "Well, this is ridiculous." And they're not respawning stuff. But you never had that in Iron Banner.
Right. The problem is there's a goal. Like, you know, people are trying to rank up, and with strikes, you don't really have that. Like, you'd have to have something that's more of an incentive for why they would want to stay and to receive that medal or whatever. That you know what I mean? Like. Because, you know what I mean? Like, with Iron Banner, you stay in because you want the full XP, because you want to rank up to get the stuff. And strikes, it's like, well, most of the time when you're running strikes, it is for a bounty or just because you're bored with everything else, you know? Like, so they could implement something that you get overall from doing the strikes other than just marks.
Yeah.
You know?
The problem with that strike is that's the only strike that has only one type of enemy. And so using your Vex money coin or whatever you want to call it, it is much more valuable, especially on like the higher level of the strikes.
It's a good point.
I mean, then again, why nerf that when you can just run Exclusion Zone?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for the Exclusion Zone.
Yeah. I mean, beats shooting into a cave.
Yeah.
It's like shooting out of a cave instead, right? Because you're kind of in the cave.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the reverse loot cave.
Yeah,
You
it's
know-
Cabal loot cave for Guardians.
All right, so we are at the end of the show. I wanted to read this last part because it kind of upset me. So after this list, they say, "Fair warning, our hopes and dreams are always at the mercy of triage. The longer we support the live game, though, the more confident we feel about calling the shot." And so it occurs to me that none of these things, this vault space, these raid fixes, this audio and visual options, this PvP ammunition, or the what they're doing to look at why people quit strikes, this doesn't seem like something that should be on a fair warning. This seems like something they should definitely be able to fix before they even announce Destiny 2. Like, in the way that this is worded really bothered me. It says the longer we support the live game, well, number one, the whole experience is live. All of Destiny is live. So it just, I don't know. Does this bother anyone else? Does this seem to anyone else like they're talking about walking away from this before they should be walking away from it?
1.1.2 might not have all of these guaranteed, but I guarantee you there are things they're going to keep working on, because above that it does say they haven't locked a list of guaranteed features pertaining to 1.1.2, which they've promised will be out before House of Wolves. So it doesn't mean before 2 comes out these won't be fixed. It just means they might not all... They can't promise they're all going to be fixed for 1.1.2.
Totally.
I think that they're admitting that in a lot of ways the game's broken, and that's their way of apologizing for it. We're sorry. We're gonna fix it, and we're gonna fix it like you're in the middle of a war zone. I don't know.
I don't know. The longer we support the live game, that's their actual words, though. The longer we support the live game, meaning that at some point, quite possibly soon, they're going to stop supporting the live game, and I can't even imagine why this would happen.
No, I think that they're saying that they've just started supporting it basically, and the longer we do it, we're going to get better at it.
Because it was like a couple of updates ago is when they first even announced who was actually working on these updates. You know, like they mentioned Liz or M.E. Chung just a few updates ago, and who her team actually was. So I think it's more like that they had people working on these things as they went, and I think it's more recently they were like, hey, we're going to create an actual legit team that is purely focused on this right now instead of everything else going on. And so I would agree. I hope that it's what you guys are saying, so that it's we're going to keep supporting this, and we want you to keep supporting it too. But I hope that's what it means.
Think of this wording, Remy. The longer we podcast, the better dynamic we have. I couldn't think of the words, but it's just the same wording. The longer we go on, the more we're confident.
Right.
Totally. You know what? And while you guys were talking, I was thinking about that, and I'm glad that you tried to throw an example out there, but I couldn't. Like, I was thinking like it should have been said like the more we support the live game or something like this, but it just like I will default to what you guys are saying because that seems like the more accurate way of doing it, because I can't imagine that they're not going to be supporting the live game until it's not on their servers anymore, like until it's gone and done with. Like, I can't imagine that, you know, they're like, they will continue to support Destiny 1 until Destiny 2 comes out. Like, that's got to be...
I want to respond to that. I think, actually, because this is a discussion in the community, too, about, like, getting your money's worth, so to speak. Like, we're not paying a subscription or anything like that. We're paying the same $60 that we pay to, or whatever amount, that we pay to any other developer that's pushed out a game that they're never going to touch after it hits store shelves. I feel in that regard, we've kind of got our money's worth. I think, aside from delivering a game that is fully functional, and that's where I think fixing the Crota and the Atheon bugs are part of their responsibilities in this department, this other stuff, them trying to make the game just play smoother and better and everything like that, is all kind of half bonus and half, well, they want you to buy Destiny 2, so they want to do a good job. But as opposed to like World of Warcraft, where people are continuing to pay for it over time, we've only paid them once. So I kind of look at it as all icing on the cake, anything that's not like fixing the Crota and Atheon glitches.
Technically twice.
You know what?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, and if we were to compare this to Bungie's last offering, which was the Halo series, it would make a lot of sense. And they've actually gone back and compared where Destiny is right now to where Halo 1 was. And because this isn't, you know, an absolutely next gen offering, because it had to be released on last gen, I could totally see this being the way they're thinking about it. but they've gone so far to sell us this live world, this living world, this, like, I understand we're not paying a subscription fee, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but aren't we paying a subscription fee every time somebody buys a DLC? I mean, that's a subscription fee in a lot of ways. I mean,
Kind
well,
of.
I don't
I
know.
would agree. I think
Subscription
you're
fee
paying
is to
for
continue
support and
playing,
development done.
period, though, and you can keep playing. Like, you take a different MMO and on like a different MMO to continue playing. Period. You have to pay each month. Whereas with this, you can keep playing the content that you originally spent your $60 on as much as you want, and you will continue to gain new things that do get thrown in for those who don't purchase the DLC. You just get extended stuff for spending an extra $20. You're
Yeah.
paying for more game, not the same game. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if it's quite the same as a subscription, but
Also, any game with servers eventually will go offline. I mean, let's go play some Halo 2 on Xbox One. I mean, Xbox, the first Xbox.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's an eventuality. If eventually they'll get to a point where it's cheaper to cut their losses,
Totally.
or not really cut their losses, because chances are it'll be quite a long time away from now. But like, they're still gonna eventually take it down.
Well, I mean, at least for, once Microsoft stops supporting the Xbox 360, there would be no reason for them to continue to support that.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
wonder how they're going to do that. I wonder how they're going to, there might be some people who aren't in that overlap between Xbox One and Xbox 360. Like, there's going to be a set date when Microsoft is going to say, all right, no more Xbox Live, no more logging in. That means no more Destiny. What happens if you haven't transferred your character already?
Well, the
With
last
characters are on bunch of servers, so
yeah, the characters themselves are on servers, but the last casualty was the Wii servers, probably.
yeah. was
So
probably
I
the
don't
reason.
foresee the Xbox 360 servers going down anytime within probably the next 5 to 10, maybe even 15 years.
Wow.
There might be a
I could
longer
see-
tail on this one.
with Destiny itself, though, I could see a huge drop off in them putting effort into the 360 side of Destiny 1 once they get to a certain Destiny number. Because I guarantee at some point, I mean, even it might even be with 2, that it's all going to be on next gen only.
I feel like,
Yeah.
aside from them keeping the servers open, they're probably not going to have anybody invested in doing anything further or fixing anything in Destiny 1, I'd say within like 3 months of Destiny 2 coming out. That would be my call on that. Because all they have to do is maintain the servers up and running. I mean, we already have a fully functional game. Does it have some things we'd like fixed? Yeah, sure. But once Destiny 2 is a couple months away, I don't think anybody's going to be focused on that anymore.
Yeah. And
I
I
guess
think that's
we'll
why
see.
their goal would be to have as much of the large stuff fixed before 2 comes out. Like, all these things that people are wanting, also because they can implement them into 2 then. The more they have done now, the easier 2 is for them to run.
That's a good point.
And real quick, back to when you were focusing on the word longer in the last thing that they said there, I think the reason they picked longer is because I think it's their way of kind of showing that it's going to take time. Again, like they're saying, we're going to continue supporting this as long as it takes, But
Well, I hope
that was just
so.
my take on it.
I hope so. It just felt to me like, oh, well, the longer we get, like, I can't do anything about it if we don't get time, but the longer we do this, the more we'll be able to. Well, yeah, but this, I don't know. All right, so is there anything else, Agrios, that we need to go over?
I think there's one other thing I'd like to mention from it. They note that we're seeing some reports of players losing items when transferring items using the companion app or the Bungie.net profile. We're actively investigating the issue and have a list of steps you can follow to attempt to retrieve these items. So don't freak out too much initially. I've heard reports of them showing up at the postmaster or special delivery, I'm not sure which, but apparently things that have gone missing have turned back up after several minutes on different characters. So make sure you check everywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. That is a very important piece of information.
Something that's not in the weekly update, but I kind of wanted to mention, there have been reports, well, not just reports of, there are people on eBay selling the free codes for the shaders to people. So
Wait.
don't accidentally get duped into buying a free code for a free shader
sorry.
from somebody on Eve. He sold more than 20 of them already.
I'm pretty sure you can just Google search and get the entire list on like 20 different pages, can't you?
They're on the sidebar of the Destiny subreddit.
Well, yeah.
If anybody
But I mean,
needs to
even
find
like the
them.
ones that you had to like, the one from COD.
What? You can
which
get
you were
that still?
supposed to-
No, the
I
one
got
from
the-
COD
Can
is
you? Can you
a
still put
single
it
use
in or
code.
no?
I want
if
it.
you
No,
find
They
one,
were
yeah.
separate codes. They were single
Okay.
codes. They weren't open for anybody.
You can reuse blacksmith
Okay.
code.
By the way,
It's a
random question.
And that brings me to
Where-
the next. Oh, go ahead.
How come they haven't released the skin for the COD or the GameStop exclusive Sparrow? It was supposed to be available, or at least it was exclusive only until January.
They
Oh.
never said they
Or
give it to
the red
anybody.
or the.
They just said it
No,
would only guarantee
or not.
exclusive. Then.
It's kind of weird though that they would say it's exclusive until January and then it'd be forever.
Well, they
Yeah.
can't just say it exclusive until if they wanted the option of ever doing something else with it, they had to include that. But they could just leave it exclusive forever if they wanted to. But they gave themselves the option of doing something in Destiny Future with it if they wanted to. Then by putting that there.
Yeah, I just hope that doesn't end that way for the PlayStation
Play-
exclusives.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go there.
No.
Another part
Didn't
to what I
they
was saying.
gave a date for that, or not really a date. But they said, I mean, a year from
There was a
release
more-
that they would. Right?
More definitive date for the Sparrow
I
though.
suppose. But that was related to. I mean, I wonder how that works between Bungie and GameStop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, how much of that is Bungie doing and how much is GameStop stating something? You know what I mean? Like,
They might also not care to bother because it's just a green. I think
right.
a green Sparrow.
But
Who
and then
knows?
real quick, do we know if like when they say that everybody's gonna eventually get the PlayStation exclusives, is that a year from each date that they're released on, or is that a year from when the game came out? Like so the DLC stuff, is that like a year from when the DLC came out then each time, or
I'm pretty sure they just said
50,
fall
50.
of 2015.
They haven't
for
given
like
an exact date.
everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so,
I
any
gotta
of
take a
like
look at
even House of
Fourth
Wolves
Horseman.
exclusives will then. I mean, would that
We
mean
don't
that
know.
they come out right away with?
My guess, it would be just like what PlayStation and Xbox did with Call of Duty. Every single time a DLC came out, Xbox had it, a month or a month and a half before PlayStation ever got it. So they're not going to open it up and say, okay, now you guys get everything the same. It's going to be PlayStation's going to get it beforehand, and you're going to have to wait
Right.
so long.
What is it? Just
Okay.
gonna like catch
How long
up
do you
it?
have to wait after each
Right.
DLC till the PlayStation stuff comes to the Xbox side? Is
Okay,
it
It's
one
a
so-
year
after
every single time. That's kind of.
I can
I don't know.
kind of
initial
I kind of
1
put
year
this to
launch?
rest. The PlayStation exclusives for launch said fall 2015, and the Dark Below exclusive says times exclusive until at least fall 2015. So it's got the same date.
So I am wondering if once they hit the 1 year mark, if there's gonna either stop being exclusives or it's going to be, like you said, like a tiny bit ahead rather than waiting all the way around again. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be always ahead. I mean, there might be new ones. I don't know, but I don't think anything until fall will be further than fall. If you know what I
Okay.
mean.
Yeah, no, I got it. Not that I care because I have both now, and half of the stuff that PS4 gets really isn't that awesome, except for maybe Hawkmoon. So you Xbox people are just fine, trust me.
It's
Right.
literally just Hawkmoon.
Well, and I actually like Undying Mind. I've only done it once, and I actually thought that one was worth it because it's one of the few that actually feels like a strike. Like it is so intense at parts that I'm like, this actually feels like the way I want a strike to feel.
Yeah, it feels intense, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. Like you can.
It is when
can
you
get
first
through.
play it, though. Oh my gosh! Because like I'm like people like these enemies are like spawning all around me, and I'm like, what? What do I do?
Right, there is a lot of running at that last part, and the part leading up to that, and the part before that.
The whole thing is a little nuts, but awesome.
Yeah, I agree. All right, was that it, Agrios?
Well, there was a second part about my eBay shader bit there. On another note, we mentioned the Blacksmith shader from the Call of Duty pre-order, and we mentioned the Red Sparrow. Those codes are both selling on eBay. The Blacksmith shader from Call of Duty is going for $60 to $80,
Jeez.
Wow.
and the Red Sparrow is going for $10 to $20.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I wish I had saved it so I could sell it.
exclusivity.
But $60 for this game is too much for some people. I don't get it.
Well,
I'm gonna pay
okay.
$60 for a shader.
So I think about this sometimes. I think about this a lot. About like I will be looking at a game that I'm interested in playing, and then I'll see like all of this. Like what is it? The Last of Us. You can buy like different moves that aren't included in the game, and I think what a crap. You know, like this is horrible. Like I'm so glad that Destiny doesn't, have microtransactions. And then I start thinking about how much I would pay for a Mythoclast. And I think that I think right now I would pay $20 to just have it and not have to worry about running Vault to Glass. So this feeds right into that. I might even spend $20 for the Blacksmith shader, even though on this show I talked about saying screw that shader because screw Call of Duty. But at this point, it really is a cool looking shader, and it's something that if you don't have it, you have to pay $60 for, I guess. So I don't know.
No, just get a friend who's willing to put their account on your Xbox as well and make it like the primary one, and you'll get everything they had.
Oh.
No, that doesn't
It's
work entirely.
free.
That doesn't work for that shader
What?
and stuff. Because what happens is when you put
You're supposed
you'll
to get
go into
everything.
you'll go into the PlayStation, you'll put on the shader, and you'll have it. Then when you go back to your PlayStation to play it again and you turn it on, you'll notice, hey, my dude's wearing his original colors. Why doesn't he have his shader on? And you'll go and look, and it'll show your shader equipped, but you won't be colored with it. Or no, maybe it'll kick it to default. I forget what it does. But anyway, when you go to highlight it to like re-put it on or whatever, it'll say DLC purchase required.
Wait, if you leave that person's account on yours as the primary account?
Oh, wait. Oh, no.
That's
if
what
you
I'm saying. You have to put, like, my husband has it because we purchased it and then I got a second Xbox. If he puts his account on my Xbox and makes it like the home account and I just have mine as an also account on there, I'll have all of his stuff.
Gotcha.
You can do that for one other person. I thought what you meant was actually with certain DLCs, like even with this DLC, one of my friends could just sign into my PlayStation just once. And when they do, they can go and get those on their character. They'll have the Red Sparrow and they'll have the shader in their inventory.
No, yeah, as soon as they go back to theirs, no, they won't.
Right, exactly.
Right. No, that's because right now mine is like that. I have, if you look at it, like my Ghost that I have on my Xbox is, I had the red one originally because we shared an Xbox, like I said. And then when I got my second one, it still shows it there. I just can't, I'm equipped with it, but it defaults to the original one instead until he puts his account on mine again.
My PlayStation 4, I can't share with anybody like that because if I were to let them make their PlayStation their PlayStation my primary, I make my PlayStation my primary. We'd both be able to play each other's games entirely, but then my girlfriend wouldn't be able to sign into her account and play my games here at home on the PlayStation that I've bought. Because
Gotcha.
the games your games only work for your primary account on PlayStation. Like,
I'm
okay,
confused,
on the
but okay.
PlayStation, on the PlayStation, whenever you have your primary PlayStation, anybody can play any game you download on your primary PlayStation.
Right.
But on your secondary PlayStation, only your account can play the games that you've downloaded. So my girlfriend
Maybe it's
can't
different
sign
for
into
Xbox.
the games I've bought on my own PlayStation if I let a friend do the primary Switch thing.
So the thing is, you got to set it as your primary PlayStation, and you can only have one PlayStation as your primary.
Right.
So your friend would have to have their primary PlayStation set at your place, which would be awkward.
Wait. No, because okay.
I mean, it works for you
My
because
husband can have...
you're using the same PlayStation, right?
But I'm talking about Xbox. We have two separate
Okay,
Xboxes.
well.
So if he can have his set as, like, he can have his account on his be the primary account, and I believe he can also do it on mine. That's what I was told by people, so that we can both have everything. Because but I'm maybe not.
You can't on Xbox. On PlayStation, you're only allowed to have one PlayStation.
Ha! So for once, Xbox has an exclusive. We
Do you
can
know how to
cheat
get
the
around that?
system better than you can.
You
You
can
know
get
what?
around that by swapping who has the primary. Like your friend have your account as the primary on his, and you have
Yes.
the primary on yours, of his.
Yeah, but then he won't have his stuff anymore.
But he
My
would
girlfriend-
because he is him.
He
My
will have the
communication
stuff because he.
because if my friend has it as the primary, that's the problem.
I'm lost. Whatever. We're like way over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although
This
we
is
don't
why you
have
shouldn't
Crimson,
have me
and we
on
don't
here. I
have
grew.
Warlock, and they're usually the ones that really need to go.
All right, so that's it for this week. For more information, see the help section of the website in general. I would like to
Psychiatric
take 1 second to answer a few questions. Pyro, I highlight stuff sometimes because I can't always comment out loud because I don't want to be disruptive and move the whole course of the the whole course of the podcast. Like
Unlike me.
so I highlight stuff sometimes because I want people to know that I saw it or that I liked it, or I want other people to take notice. There's that. Also, Infamous. I do have Destiny on Xbox One, and I do play it sometimes, but it's much easier for me to get a control of one of the 360s that we have in this house, and also I way prefer the controller on the Xbox 360. And you know what?
He
In
hates
this,
Xbox One.
right? It's just like I'm glad that I have it, and if you have it on Xbox One and you want to play, then I will play it on Xbox One. Happy to. Like it's really just I'm disappointed. Like Xbox has disappointed me with the people that they had putting out information about the Xbox One. Like I don't know. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I do play and would love to play with you, and hopefully sometime in the near future. Also, Biohazard says, should I buy a PlayStation, even though I have an Xbox One? And yes, absolutely. I feel like out of the consoles that are getting it that we know of, the PlayStation feels so great. The controller is so natural. The bumpers are great. I was a little thrown off because the construction, it's not built like an iPad. It's not like a brick fortress. It's not built awesome like an Xbox 360 controller. But wait a second. Infamous Band-Aid says you can get an adapter controller on Xbox One for PlayStation. What?
It's called Chronos Max.
Oh man, that sounds great. But yeah, if you have the dollars and you are that interested in Destiny, then yes, definitely pick up a PlayStation.
Totally not Destiny related, but I do have to say, from coming from both, other than like Halo, the PlayStation exclusives I would say are better as far as games go. Like at least looking into the future, the stuff that's been released, I'm super glad I got one purely because like No Man's Sky.
Oh
Me and
man,
my best friend.
that looks
I am so excited. Purely
Oh,
like I would
yeah.
have bought a PlayStation just for that game. I
Yeah,
think
same
so.
here.
Generally, PlayStation exclusives are very single-player, RPG focused, like more
Yeah.
story-based entries,
See, that's my kind of thing. Maybe that's
or weird indie games too.
awesome.
which sometimes are awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So there we have it. Episode 31. Shout outs starting with Sharks.
My shout out is to Guardian 1, and that obviously goes to you, Remy. Without Guardian 1, wouldn't know any of you guys, and then I'd be lonely.
Oh,
I'm sure you'd find friends, Sharks. I'm happy to be one of those friends.
Awesome.
BelleBunny.
Shout out to River because he couldn't be here and trusted me to help take his place for a day. And shout out to Guardian 1 in general because you guys honestly, like, I know it sounds corny, but you guys were my first. And it's you guys wanting, like, showing an interest in me that got me where I am today. And it was seriously awesome to be back here, even though I made your show longer than I think I've ever seen it when I was in chat. So you're welcome.
Yeah, I think this is officially the longest episode that we've had.
Hey, blame Guardian Radio. They started getting my mindset into this 2-hour thing we've been doing. It's all their fault.
Well, it's basically what it comes down to is that River and Warlock can't stay for much longer past 9. And I don't want people just leaving and then there's 3 people. Like, I'd rather just wrap up the whole thing at the same time. And there was nobody in the chat today telling me like, hey, we got to move this along. Like, I got to go.
Nobody was like, raid time.
Right, exactly.
Oops, that might be me and River and Twisted too. Whoops.
Right. Agrios.
I want to give a shout out to all the awesome people that come and hang out with us while we stream every week and respond to us on our YouTube videos and everything else. You guys are all awesome. I am going to be offering anybody who wants to join me. I'll be on tonight. You can message me anytime. I'll get you when I get back on. But I'm going to try to make an effort to give out the Gorgon hard mode exotic chance chest checkpoint to anybody who wants it. I'm going to maintain that every week, so all of our awesome listeners can message me and get in that and get your exotic chances whenever you feel like. I'm in there right now. If anybody wants to join on me, I'm going to put my PS4 in the chat. Disgustipated.
Awesome. Very awesome.
Sorry, I don't think I ever needed your gamer tag before.
It's a PSN ID, Belle.
Whatever. You know what? I'm still working. It's only been since Christmas. Okay, forgive me. I don't know all your lingo.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna back up Belle on this because I had Jez on my PlayStation like right in the beginning, and it wasn't for a while that I realized that Jez was who he was, and I was like, "Who the hell is this ruined dude?"
Wait, are we friends on PlayStation?
I don't believe.
I don't think so. See, that's why.
I'll throw it in
gonna
the
happen?
chat for you. Have fun.
I like it.
Okay.
Alrighty. And I am going to shout out to
You're
Sharks.
skipping me. I have
Oh.
a very important one.
Oh, you know what? You talked last, and so I just, you know what?
Shout out.
You don't get a shout out.
Shout out to twitch.tv/Remy Hates Xbox One, where tomorrow at 8 PST we'll be streaming more Remy Hates Xbox.
And now I need to know: was this the pre-recorded 8 hours I've already done, or did you need new material? Because I'm ready.
I think we're
always
just gonna
ready.
roam over every topic.
Oh goodness.
I like it. I like it a lot. That was really important, Jez. Yes, I would like to shout out to Sharks. Thank you very much for joining us. Belle, thank you also very much for joining us. We actually always think about you as soon as somebody says, oh, you know, in our chat, oh, I can't make it. It's always like, well, you know, I bet Belle would be great to have
I'll
on.
be there.
You know, like.
Awesome.
I get to talk more. Heck yes.
So yeah. You know what? It's nice. It's really nice. I'm glad that I wasn't the reason that this show went long. As a matter of fact, there's probably two records in this one show. The longest show ever, and probably the longest periods of time where I went without talking. Like there was.
Hey, I learned that, no. You want to know why that happens? I learned that because of working with Bife. You have to learn to cut people off. So he's taught me well. So.
Right? I just have a show full of really polite people who aren't willing to cut me off. They're not willing to just tell me to stuff it so they can spread
Remy,
theirs.
stuff it.
Okay, I give you big long pauses.
Right? Right, you and River are really
It's
great.
a good
with
time
Is
killer.
that a question?
But yeah, I really appreciate you guys jumping on. And Belle, it's always great to have you. Shark, it's really great to have you out here. I don't know. I hope to have you on again soon, and I hope you enjoyed your time here with us.
Totally did. It was awesome.
So great. Well then, I am done yet. Infamous. You know, I know that I was like, oh, we've got 5 minutes till 9, guys. Let's get through this. But yeah,
You're making up for the lack of talking.
No, he's trying to do like Guardian Radio. See, you put it in Remy's head that it has to be 2 hours now.
Right.
But if your YouTube thing is a cutoff at 2 hours, cut it off right now. Because trust me, it is not fun to have like 4-minute long part 2. Okay,
No.
it happened.
Totally. I've had that happen, and it is no fun. So with that, I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.